What good is a SQL Server instance without some great databases? No good at all. Let's fix that. Welcome to this video on SQL Server databases. My name is Kevin Fiesel. I am the proprietor of Catalaxy Services LLC, a consulting firm which specializes in work all across the data platform space, but especially SQL Server. In this video, we are going to take this barren wasteland of a SQL Server instance and populate it with 3 demo databases. Before we get started, here's my don't be dumb disclaimer. Demo databases are great to have on your personal SQL Server instance, and I don't necessarily mind seeing them in dev instances, but don't put them in production. There's nothing in any of these demo databases which would be a security vulnerability, so there's not really a serious risk from that side of things, but there are several regulatory guidelines which include prohibitions against demo or training databases in production environments. There's just no reason to have a demo database in production. In other words, don't be dumb. Alright, disclaimer over. Let's have some fun. The first database I'm going to look at is one I'd call venerable, which doesn't just mean old. AdventureWorks has been around since SQL Server 2008, and it's undergone minor changes over the past 15 years. Why mess with something that works pretty well? There are 3 databases in the AdventureWorks world: an online transactional processing database, a warehouse database, and a lightweight database. The intent of each of these databases is to show off different use cases for relational databases. The story behind this covers AdventureWorks, a bicycle company based out of the Pacific Northwest in the United States. Let's grab AdventureWorks and install it right now. The AdventureWorks database is something we can easily grab from Microsoft's Database Samples website. I have a link to it in the description below. On this site, there are a variety of backup files in .bak format, which is a SQL Server backup. I'm going to grab AdventureWorks 2019 from the OLTP side. This is the latest version that's available for us and will work just fine on my SQL Server 2022 instance. Downloading this will take just a moment, and once it's done, I'll show you proof of existence in Windows Explorer, and I'm going to cut and paste this in my backups folder for the SQL Server instance. That'll just make it easier for me to process in SQL Server Management Studio. So let's hop over there, right-click on the Databases folder, choose Restore Database, and I'll choose a device. And from that devices list, I can add a file. The file I will add is AdventureWorks. Select OK. Hit OK one more time, and we can restore this database. If I select the Files tab on here, we can see where the files are being restored to. There are some options available for us as well. And restoring the database was really fast. Now we have our database ready to go. I can run queries against this and use it to my heart's content. The next database we'll look at is Wide World Importers, a database whose name so many people get wrong. The intent of Wide World Importers is to show off functionality as of SQL Server 2016. So there are examples of memory optimized tables, column store indexes, temporal tables, row level security, and a lot more. Wide World Importers is an import-export company with global distribution. It deals primarily with physical goods and is a large enough database that we can use it for a variety of demonstrations. We have a couple options with Wide World Importers. I'll show off the most basic setup process, though if you want some additional functionality, you might need to run additional scripts afterwards. On the same website where we grabbed AdventureWorks, we can also select the Wide World Importers database, and there's a release link. Again, link will be in the notes below. Now this release link, we've got a few options. I'm going to select the Wide World Importers full backup, and this will save a .bak file. Again, that's a SQL Server backup. Pretty fast. If I go to Windows Explorer, I can cut that and paste it into my backups folder, just like I did with AdventureWorks. In Management Studio, let's restore this database. Right-click, Restore Database, and I'll choose a device. From the ellipsis, I'll add a file and select the Wide World Importers full backup. This time, I'm going to select the script button so we can see what SQL Server is actually doing. Now, I'm going to fuss about with the formatting here just a little bit, but what we can see is that each of the files, the MDF for data, the NDF for secondary data, the LDF for logs, these are getting moved to new locations. There is a file group for in-memory data, and there are a couple of notes here on how restoration will happen. Stats equals 5 means that we're going to get a message for every 5% of the database that has been processed, in this case restored. Restoration doesn't take very long. We can see that we now have the database available to us. One extra thing I'm going to do is, back on this screen, there's a script for enabling SQL Server audit. There's a script for enabling row-level security. I'm going to choose the row-level security script and execute that. So first I need to use wide world importers and then execute the configuration apply row level security stored procedure that happens to exist in that database. Doing that enables row level security, and I'll call this done for now. The last database we'll look at is very real and very good. This one comes from the most excellent Daniel Hutmacher, who took open source data from the city of Chicago and turned it into a great demo database. If you've ever received a parking ticket in the city of Chicago between 1997 and 2017, your citation is probably in this database. There's no personally identifiable information in here, meaning that it's a really nice database for demos. Daniel includes information on the tickets themselves, but also additional data from other open sources like census or socioeconomic indicators. This is a seriously cool database, but it's also a big boy, running nearly 25 gigabytes in size. So follow along only if you've got plenty of disk space available. Our third demo comes not from Microsoft, but from Daniel Hutmacher's blog. And we're going to download the Chicago parking tickets backup file. So if you scroll down on this blog post, there is a link to the download. It is nearly 8 gigabytes of a SQL Server backup, so this is going to take a little bit of time. And instead of watching me download and try to vamp for 8 gigabytes worth of download time, I'm just going to jump ahead to when I have the file and we'll restore the backup from there. So let's do a time travel. All right, we've got our backup file. So I'm going to take that, once again, move it to the backups directory. Once it's in that directory, we'll do the same thing we did a couple of times. In Management Studio, restore a database, choose the device, pick the Chicago backup file, and hit OK. Select OK one more time. This is a bigger backup. This is going to be about a 20 gigabyte database in total, so it won't be instantaneous, but on this machine, it only takes a few seconds, and we've got it. With the Chicago parking ticket data, there's a lot of really cool info here. I'm sure we're going to use it for future demos. Just in the meantime, you can see violation types. You can see the accounting details of when people paid fines. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. If you've been following along, you now have 3 demo databases to work with. You can do whatever you want with these databases, and even if you ruin the database entirely, that's no problem. Keep the backup files and restore them whenever you need to get back to basics. What's your favorite demo database? Is it one of these, or do you prefer something else? Let me know in the comments below. As always, we have links and show notes in the description. And until we see each other in the next video, take care.